What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? It's Wednesday. You know what that means? Little midweek madness. Get over that little hump day. I got my guy Greg here in the building. This is gonna be a good night. I love you, Greg. It's always a good time having you on the show.
Throwing up my Michigan gang sign. Go blue, baby. Undefeated.
Dude, man, they've been really, really good. You got to be happy about that.
Ecstatic.
My game,
but it doesn't matter except for one game. I don't care about the rest of the season. We beat Ohio State. I'm happy.
Man, they're beatable. They are beatable, man. I mean, against when we played them against already this year, they looked beatable. So I think y'all be okay because we're 2-2. So what's up, everyone? We're gonna get into it tonight. When it comes to Wednesdays, we like to get into our show is a little bit about force and farce. Those players that could potentially be top 14 players that overall for the year that finish outside the top 14 this week. And then some players are force players that are players that, aren't inside the top 14, players that could potentially be way outside the top 14 just because maybe they've had injury throughout the year or they just haven't been playing well. And all of a sudden they've hit some boom weeks, right? And those are players that we think either could potentially be finished with inside the top 14 or players that we think, hey, maybe go grab these players right now because they're about to hit. So those are our force players. This is a fun segment. It's a really fun segment. And then after this segment, we'll get into some of our pizza parlays, which is an absolute blast. We build a pizza basically with our toppings and then get 3 parlays. Pick 3 teams that you think are going to win this week. That's our pizza parlay. And then we'll get into some DFS, build a little lineup real quick. We do have our weekly DFS game that we do for the Sunday games. And like I said, it happens every week. And the top 3 get paid out. The more people we get involved in that, obviously the higher the payouts are. But it's been pretty competitive, pretty fun. I finished in 4th place last week, just outside of the money. But yeah, congratulations to those people that took us out. It's
not even going to name them.
I'd have to go back and look, but I know my brother-in-law's brother was he took me he passed me this week just to take me outside of the 3rd. So yeah, Andy, congratulations to you. We've had some pretty good players in there that have been finishing in the top, 2 multiple weeks in a row, and it is competitive. So I know you're not a gambling type, but it's basically just playing fantasy football every week.
I don't mind gambling. I just don't do it. But I mean, you're going to be buying me lunch in Canton next week.
Ritter did look really good, man. He's
300 yards.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. And about damn time that team starts coming together and doing something. I mean, even Janu, who was surpassing Pitts, still had a decent game, and Pitts also had a decent game. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with this team. Get that running game going and then open up things for that, passing offense.
Yeah, before we get started, I saw a podcast, don't remember who it was, that threw up a chart with all of Pitts's routes. And what it showed was he's being targeted down the field, which is good for a tight end, but he had no cuts. Apparently, he's still suffering from a leg injury. And so it's all rounded off. There's no cuts, no sharp cuts. So he'll get better as the season goes on.
He's such a big guy, though, too. I feel like they would be using him more in the end zone like they kind of did, year 1. I mean, he still only had, 1 touchdown in the first year? Was it 2 last year, I think? But I think that's what it was, 1, 2, and you're hoping that this year he gets at least 3, right? But, I mean, it would be nice to see Pitts explode because we know how talented he is, but it seems like they've been using him more as a blocker as of late, and Jonu's kind of been getting the benefit of the doubt. But
hey, we'll see.
We see. I mean, we know how talented Pitts is.
I think he had 11 targets last week.
And I was talking to you, I need to figure out what league that I picked him up in because he was sitting out there on the waiver wire. Like Pitts was just sitting out there. I'm like, and this was after all waivers went through. He was just sitting there. Like, so people missed him and I got him for free.
Or they dropped him because sometimes I'm picking people up that get dropped by other.
So usually, so after you drop somebody, then they have to be on waivers at least 2 more days.
Oh,
So
and
then he would have been available Friday, but he was available Wednesday morning. So I saw that and I was like, okay, I think I can find somebody to drop. I can make a trade for that. See if somebody's out there that needs a tight end. I mean, I have like 3 good ones.
and if you're in Scott Fishbowl, tight ends get so many bonuses.
Oh, I know. It's been pretty. Laporta's been. I mean, I had Higbee. I picked him at the 10th round, and I ended up getting Laporta, I think the 14th or 15th round, and it's been a blessing because right now he's the tight end 1. It's
I got
crazy.
over 19 points from my kicker last week in Scott Fishbowl. He didn't hit a field goal. 6 PATs, 3.3 points per PAT. You
Yeah,
have to know your scoring system.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
I agree. Scoring does matter too. And like if anybody's out there too who's asking questions about start sit questions, anything like that, scoring matters, your scoring system matters, PPR, full PPR, half PPR, not non-points per catch is a standard, that really does matter.
As does
Superflex
starting
matters.
position requirements.
Yeah, that too, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of leagues. So with tight end, everyone says there's such a separation between tight ends. So what I like to do in my leagues is I don't make a requirement for tight end. I make it a flex position, and then I give that tight end at least a half point advantage, right? So you don't have to draft a tight end if you don't want to or start one. But anybody that goes out there to pick them up, they get a little bit of an advantage.
A half a point premium on tight ends makes guys like Kelsey basically top 2 wide receivers.
And I mean, they should be. They're playing like a wide receiver. They're playing
And they're
that
blocking more.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. Don't make that position. You have
Irrelevant.
to,
Yeah.
So instead of making that a position that you have to start them and they don't get any bonus, well, then from week to week, if say somebody you drafted really high goes down, well, now you're really at a disadvantage. Like make those tight ends at least a little bit more, and then you make it so you don't have to start them. If somebody doesn't want to have a tight end on their team, cool.
Well, yeah, if I'd have paid more attention to the scoring system in Scott Fishbowl, I'd had 3 high scoring tight ends because I drafted my quarterbacks late. You can literally take Kelsey and say Edwards, and if you've got those guys as your tight ends, you don't have to start 2 quarterbacks because you in your super flex you could do a tight end, and they get such a tremendous bonus in Scott Fishbowl that they're as good as a quarterback.
Hey, Marcy, what's up? She says, "Go Rangers."
Hey, biker girl. I love that she's going to Sturgis. Sturgis is a big deal in Michigan.
It's in South Dakota.
No, but in Michigan, the bikers all go there.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty close.
I grew up in
A lot of
Michigan.
the
All
bikers
the
come from here,
Harley
too.
guys would go to Sturgis every year.
Yeah, it's crazy out there, man. It's not too far from here. She says she's never been there. It'll be a good time. You'll have a blast. I know I had a friend of mine that she works a bunch of bars, and she's a traveling bartender, so she goes out there a lot to work those bars. Never had the opportunity, but had Harley. Well, you're gonna have a fun time, I promise. All right, let's get into some of our players. Force versus Farce. What's up, Iggy? Iggy in the house. What's up? Appreciate you coming by. So I'll let you get into yours if you want to first. So basically, like I said, our Force players are players that are outside the top 14 that we feel like could potentially finish inside the top 14, or could be a player that you're picking up to potentially either, this is the week to go grab him before everybody else finds out. Like that's another description as a Force player. Like you're picking up a guy that could potentially help you down the line starting this week.
Okay, so just so everyone knows, JC did not tell me what scoring system to use when I did the rankings
PPR.
to find my players. So I used my Bahaffle League, Beat a Hall of Famer League. So basically that's what I used. And it's a little different in that if your guy also gets return yards, those count the same as receiving yards or rushing yards. You get 1/10 of a point per yard. So a guy like Rashad Shaheed may not catch a lot of passes, but he gets a ton of return yards, so he's valuable. Anyway, at quarterback, I'm a Detroit fan through and through. Matthew Stafford will always have a special place in my heart because he literally threw a touchdown pass to put Detroit into the playoffs with a partially separated shoulder. That's a tough dude. So he's got Cup back, and people were questioning, well, what does that mean to Puka? It doesn't mean squat to Puka. Cup and Puka are both going to be just fine. Tutu Atwell is going to be okay. What it means is Van Jefferson is no longer on that team, is what it means. But bottom line is the Cards, they're playing the Cards. That's the third easiest team in terms of points to quarterbacks. They're giving up 21.8 points to opposing quarterbacks. That's more than the Commanders and the Chargers. And if anybody watched the Commanders game last week, where A.J. Brown was, 5 yards from any defender at any point in that game, I just see Stafford with Puka and with Cup and with Tutu Atwell. I even think Kyron Williams is going to catch a couple passes this week. This is going to be a big day. And if you check the Cardinals schedule, because this early in the season, it could just be, they faced all the tough quarterbacks. Well, they played Washington, the Giants, Dallas, San Francisco, and Cincinnati, and they turned Brock Purdy into a freaking all-pro. 4 touchdown passes for Purdy. Come on. Could we see seriously, JC, could we see 200-yard receivers in this game?
Oh yeah, for sure. You definitely can see 200, 100-yard receivers in this game. I like the Stafford call too, because another thing that's been kind of talked about is Stafford players aren't good, they're good, but Stafford almost like creates how great players are, like they're good and then he makes them great. Like we've seen in the beginning of this year alone, you saw Tutu and Puka be so explosive, top 20, both top 20, top 15 wide receivers to begin the year. Now you've got, Cup back and he's, looking just how he looked, before he left. And
11 targets for Cup, 10 targets for Puka.
Yeah, I think Puka it's almost even better for Puka at the same time, right? Because he's not going to have all that attention on him. He's going to be able to do a lot more. I think it's almost better at this point, and I'm grateful because Stafford. I think I have Stafford in Scott Fishbowl, so he should be doing a lot better now. He's been averaging some pretty low points, but I think they're just like you said.
I got Danny Jones and Derek Carr. Don't talk to me about having Stafford. I'll trade you.
Yeah, they have Carr's been. There's SoCal talking about Dak. Dak is legit the Derek Carr of old. Basically, he'll give you about 16 points every week. Not this past week. Dak is once again on pace to have pretty close to on pace to having a interception per game again this year. So that's not a great stat. But
so, are you going to give your quarterback now, or do you want me to go through all of my forces?
I'll do my quarterback too.
Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to hear.
I'll do mine now. Well, so it's kind of a low-hanging fruit, but I'll get my other guy next. But Joe Burrow, he's quarterback 26 on the year, which, he had an explosive game last week against Arizona. I think it was like a, homecoming game where you like play against a team who kind of isn't this great. So you just kind of get that kickoff to finally.
Yeah, are you assuming that Burrow is back to being Burrow, or was it because it was the Cardinals?
I think he needed that boost. I think he needed an opportunity to go out there and just beat somebody down, right? And he definitely did that. Joe Burrow and Jamar combo came back to life, and I think that, Seattle's coming off that bye. They are been a tough defense, but I think Burrow can, come out and him and Chase can have another big game. But to me, the one that you wanted me to kind of talk about is our bet, Desmond Ridder. He looked really, he kind of made me shut my mouth last week. I am glad. I'm going to tell you that I do have him on my Scott Fish team. I drafted him really late. So I am happy about that, having him as my quarterback 3. So Ridder looked explosive last week, and they're going against Washington, who's been, not very good this year against quarterbacks. So I think with Pitts coming alive finally, Jonnu is actually doing things too. Drake London doing a lot of stuff. I mean, you got Bijan there to take, to
He's a
make
good receiver.
defense.
Bijan's a better
Yeah,
receiver than
not
I
only
thought he
that
was.
too, but you're making the defense, have to play up a little bit, right? And
Yep.
I mean, Ritter's been, running the ball. I mean, he's been doing what he has to do, and I think that offense has kind of come alive a little bit too. And at number 19, man, he's a guy that, last week he was. Let's see, I mean, he was top.
He had over 300 yards.
Let me look at this. I think Ritter was up there. I mean, he finished pretty high last week, and I was.
So my question to you is, if I had lost, I was going to buy both you and Iggy dinner. Are you buying Iggy dinner as well as me?
I might have to. I mean,
well, you're going to be buying me dinner. That much is
I
a
have to stick the
foregone
shoe in my
conclusion.
mouth. I might as well stick it all the way in. QB6 this week, man. Oof, he had a good week. That's like, I mean, he did have one QB10 week, but QB25 or QB26, QB30, QB26, but
3,200 yards. I don't care what QB he finishes at. If he gets 3,201 yards, I'm happy.
He's gonna get one less than 3,200.
Because if he gets 3,200, it's a push.
That's
we did
true.
over under. So
yeah. Let's see. SoCal said Dak had 3 in one game. Yeah, he did.
He did.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you're on pace or anything. What is he? 5-4 right now. He's 5 for 4, right? Or 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
I don't remember who the guy was that said it. They asked him, is Dak elite and can Dak get the Cowboys to the promised land? And his answer was no and yes. You don't need to be an elite quarterback to get a team to the playoffs. However, and Dak's not elite, but he is good enough to get them to the playoffs. I agree with that. I mean, Trent Dilfer was not an elite quarterback, and he won a Super Bowl.
He's no Brock Purdy. I'll tell you that. He's no Brock Purdy.
I think Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback. I just don't think he's a passing quarterback. He's a game manager. He's a pure game manager. But how many interceptions does he have this year?
I don't think any.
0.
3? Yeah.
0.
I mean, this is crazy because when he played at Iowa, it was Iowa State, right? He didn't make very good decisions. He would make some crazy bad decisions.
Making great decisions now.
Having a great coach around you, having a great, offensive line, great talent around you, not only just as receivers like behind you with McCaffrey and Debo.
And the offensive line's good too.
Yeah, I mean, and the defense is great. So it's like you're not like constantly out on the field. Like, yeah, Purdy, man, he just got himself into a good situation, and he was just a better rookie,
And all these people that were upset that Trey Lance wasn't playing, look at where they're at right now. Complain to me about Trey Lance when Trey Lance does something. Until that point, Brock Purdy's doing great. Hey, at running back, this guy has really sucked for 2 weeks. I know, because I got him in my starting lineup. James Cook, I really wanted to use Isaiah Pacheco. I really did, because the Broncos, they're so bad. But Pacheco's number 13, so he didn't qualify.
He's had a touchdown almost every week. It's crazy.
Yeah, I really wanted to use him, but instead I'm going to go with Cook. Now, Cook's had two straight lousy weeks, but there's been something in common. And I dropped him. Those 2 bad weeks dropped him to RB16, so I can use him because he's outside the top 14. In both of those games, the Bills were playing from behind, and they literally, it's not the Cook isn't effective when he gets the ball. He just wasn't getting the ball. He just was not getting the ball, and he's not scoring a bunch of touchdowns. So what you have to do with Cook is he's got to get yards and receptions to be fantasy worthy. But to get into the top 14, he doesn't really have to climb that much. And I think the Giants, they can't block anybody. If you watch that left tackle, they got a guard playing left tackle, and Danny Dimes is just getting killed. It's a revolving door at left tackle for the Giants. That's going to allow the Bills to get up early. And once they get up early, the Bills aren't the kind of team that just turns it and hands it off to the running back to close out the game. They're not the Detroit Lions, but I think that you'll see 20 touches for Cook this week. And with 20 touches, he will be top 14. There's no doubt in my mind.
Man, James Cook, man, and the blood is there too. We know the blood is there. I mean, he's been playing absolutely explosive, and when he gets the opportunity, like he's been more that goal line guy. I mean, we used to be seeing, Josh Allen doing a lot of that stuff too, but seeing James Cook get a lot of this work, it's there's a lot of people talking about how Cook could be good, Cook could be that guy, but he wasn't getting drafted like that, and he's been great. He's been really great for how young he is coming in, especially like we say on a team that's more Josh Allen run the ball, but it's
he's
really
just
good.
not getting the touchdowns. He's getting the yards. He's getting the receptions. He's getting the fantasy points.
Coach Craig saying Cook got in the doghouse last week.
What, he fumbled the ball, I think?
Probably. Oh, like you said, we have had time now. Is Dak better than Romo? No. Romo had just had that bad situation. I mean, I thought Romo was great, and I loved Romo now. And
he wasn't great, but he was a competitor, and he had a good arm. He did have a good arm.
And he had Jessica Simpson.
he's today's Kelsey, right?
He is today's Kelsey.
Yesterday's Kelsey, yeah. He was Travis before there was a Travis.
Dude, this shit's so crazy. I don't even know.
So who's your running back?
I mean, this is low-hanging fruit. I mean, kind of. I mean, it's got to be Austin Eckler. He's coming back. He's going to play. He said he's 99% sure. He's coming back to be – he's ready. I'm excited. Like, people should have been buying low on him. If you still can, maybe go get him because he's playing against Dallas this week. They have been
Dallas is good defense.
They are, but they let James Conner run all over them. They 98 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, but James Conner is not the same type of back as Eckler. Conner's a bulldozer back. He's a Derrick Henry type. He runs through people. A Josh Jacobs type. Eckler is more a scat back type. A James Cook, Jahmyr Gibbs. Are you sure that you think this is the game to start Eckler?
Yeah, I do, because the amount of passing that happened last week, right? We saw the amount of yards that could put up against Dallas through the air, and Eckler is going to catch the ball. I mean, he does
catch the ball.
Like Alvin Kamara, right? Alvin Kamara isn't that guy who had over 1,000 yards rushing, right? He had 900 yards receiving, 900 yards rushing. It's still 1,800 yards for a running back. I mean, you're going to see a lot of that stuff through the air. I think Eckler's he is that, like, he gets so excited about football. Like he wants to be that guy, and he's that underdog player, and he's going to come back and he's going to play hard. It is Dallas, but I said he's going to be catching the ball a lot more. Like they're the underdog team this week that I'm going to be taking in our pizza parlays, with the Chargers. So I think they end up beating Dallas too. Like, it's going to happen, man. They've had a really easy, 4 weeks to start the year, and they're starting to get, shown what they really are.
Hey, so if the Chargers beat the Cowboys, man, NFC East is all Philly. I mean, seriously.
So we got it. This is Ronnie right here, Mr. Football. Cowboys just signed Evans off the street to play middle linebacker.
Yeah, I saw that, but I don't know what it means because I don't know how good this Evans guy is.
All right, let's get into some wide receivers. What do you got?
Well, you talked about low-hanging fruit. I took wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. He missed the game. He could have played in that game. He said he was feeling good on Thursday. Could have played in the game. They held him out because they didn't need him. They really, look what they did without Branch, without Amon-Ra, and without Jahmyr Gibbs. They just destroyed that team. The Carolina Panthers. So Sun God wouldn't even qualify if the Lions hadn't sat him last week, but he does. He's the wide receiver 23, and despite playing on the road against a decent defense, you got to force him into your lineups. St. Brown, like I said, could have played last week, wasn't needed. What I'm seeing this week is not a stat line where he goes crazy, because there's a lot of mouths to feed in Detroit. And frankly, the Tampa Bay defense is like 17th in points allowed to wide receivers. So they're middle of the road. They're not terrible. They're not great. I'm looking at 6 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown for Amon-Ra. He gets that. That's 19 and a half points. That puts him in the top 14 easily.
Do you see do you see
What's
Ronnie
that?
here? Ronnie in here, he said this was Rashaan Evans. He said he should have signed Ronnie Evans.
Ronnie, trust me, you do not want to play middle linebacker in the NFL.
or for them.
You don't want to get on the field with those monsters in the NFL.
That's so funny, dude. And then coach in here said no bueno. Rashawn's no bueno. So, I mean, I guess I kind of took low-hanging fruit too this week. It's not as low, but, Jordan Addison, JJ is out 4 weeks, which is really, really hard. It's really
I think
hard.
that's a risky pick, to be honest.
I don't know if it's really that risky. They're playing against Chicago, man. It's going to be they're just going to be score. Both defenses suck booties. I mean, it's going to be a score fest.
Yeah, they do. Who's Chicago's top corner?
I don't know, Coach. If Coach is in here, Coach, who is Chicago's top corner?
And does he switch sides? If so, does he go with KJ Osborne or does he go with Addison? Right now, I would put him with Addison.
Yeah, he'll be with Addison, but Mike Evans got that many targets. I mean, Mike Evans isn't Jordan. I mean, Jordan Addison isn't Mike Evans, but Mike Evans also put 171 yards up on them.
Yeah, but Mike, you talking about Tampa Bay's Mike Evans?
Yeah.
The guy that gets 1,000 yards every year of his career?
He was
Mike
a good
Evans.
I don't know, man. I think Jordan Addison's been almost good for every week for a touchdown. I like that. I think that TJ Hawkinson should be used a lot this week, and KJ getting in there. We also have another receiver. What's his name? Brandon that's coming in. He looked really, really good last week. I think Addison coming in, he'll be the guy who gets the touchdown.
I want to see him play 1 year without JJ before I decide anything on that.
Man, I hope that we sell Kirk, man, and they go out and they get a Jordan Addison's college.
Do you remember in my Beat a Hall of Famer league, I had the number 1 overall pick, and I had a poll up on Twitter where people told me who to draft. And I was hoping they would give me CMC, but no, they give me Justin Jefferson. So I'm rolling along with him. And then I think it might be Anthony. It's Fat Guys Fantasy.
Fat Guys? Yeah, that's Anthony.
Traded me. I wanted Montgomery because I'm a Detroit fan. I got no running backs. And he wanted Jefferson. So I traded Jefferson and Kendre Miller for Amari Cooper and David Montgomery. And then halfway through the game, he lost Jefferson. So I feel bad about that, but I feel better about it happening to him than me.
So Jordan Addison last week had 64 yards, a touchdown, and 6 receptions. So, I mean, that's
a good game. He had 18.4 points.
I think that he can keep going. I mean, we've already seen him have a couple games. I mean, he already had against the Eagles, he put up 17.2. So, I mean, we're seeing him against tough defenses still do well.
Your opinion, is he rookie of the year? He's certainly putting up better numbers than Bijan.
I need to go back and try to find this because I did say this. I said that Jordan Addison is my dark horse rookie of the year. I said that Jordan Addison would finish higher than JSN this year, even though JSN might be more talented on the long run. I said Jordan Addison will finish ahead of him this year.
I don't think JSN has.
I got laughed at.
I don't think JSN has the heart. Plus, he went into a situation where he was not going to be playing. He was going to be a wide receiver 3 at best. So, hey, at tight end, I'm going with the only tight end that I know of in history of the NFL that got 1,000 yards as a rookie, only 1 touchdown. And then last year kind of fell apart, doubled his touchdowns, but didn't get the yards. I think he had 11 targets last week, 9 receptions. I like Kyle Pitts. And I like Kyle Pitts because the Commanders are one of the stingiest defenses against tight ends this year, but that's only because they're giving up everything to wide receivers. But Pitts is being used like a wide receiver. He's going downfield and catching the ball. I think Atlanta's a different kind of team. they tend to focus on getting one receiver the ball. That could be Drake London, but it could also be Pitts. I'm thinking it'll be Pitts this week. 11 targets to 9 for London last week. If both those guys get the same number of targets this week, they're both good. You're going to love that pick of Ritter if they're 20 targets divided between those two.
Yeah, man. I think that the best part about that too is like if anybody's out there that's trying to stream a quarterback this week, like Ritter will most likely be out there. I mean, especially if it's a 1 QB league and you really like need somebody this week, especially with buys, Ritter could be that guy this week that gets you past, just
I would say go with
outperform.
Stafford because he's probably out there. And the truth is, I went with Michael Wilson. No, Zach Wilson last week because of the matchup, and he played well, but he didn't score well fantasy wise. And so I'm afraid Ritter might have that type of game where he plays well, but he doesn't score well. But you're right. This defense, if anybody's going to give up, I mean, the Commanders should fire that entire defense. They really should.
Yeah, they should. They've been good for IDP, because tackles, a lot of tackles. That's the same thing with Minnesota. Their defense is crappy, but their cornerbacks for tackles are like they're some of the best in the NFL right now for IDP.
Hey, who do you got at tight end?
So right after we get done with the FARCE players, there's a couple questions we got in here. So anybody that's still in here that had a question, we'll right in between our FARCE and FARCE players, we'll get some of these questions answered. So
which is right after you tell us who your tight end is.
You got it. Right after. So mine's like a long shot this week, like a guy you can go out and 100% he's out on there. And it's Noah Fant, dude. It's Noah Fant.
He's got talent.
He does have talent. So here's the thing. Cincinnati, they're playing against Cincinnati. So Cincinnati is 27th against tight ends this year. They've been giving up, they're averaging 10.3 points against tight ends this year. Yes, there are 3 technically tight ends on that team. Will Dissly's an older guy, but the amount of targets, Fant is the guy getting all the targets. He's got the majority of the targets. And he is averaging about 9 points a week over the last 3 weeks. He's going to be that guy. Like I said, he's going to be either a touchdown. So if he gets a touchdown, 30, 35, 40 yards, 4 catches, like that's a big week for a tight end right there. You're already at about 15 points. So if Noah Fant gets the touchdown this week, he's that guy, especially. And if you go out there, maybe if you play DFS, he's a guy that's going to cost you nothing way down there. If it's a play, you need to make a play and go grab a tight end. Maybe you're on a team that has, all these tight ends are kind of grabbed up on your team and you just need somebody to get in there to play at tight end with some buys you have this week. I'm not afraid to play Noah Fant this week. He should at least put up, 7-8 points, which is at tight end. I'm happy with that, but I think the upside is 15, 16 points.
Yeah, and if Burrow really is back, that means they're going to score points on Seattle, even though Seattle's very good defense, but that means Seattle will have to they'll have to go away from the Kenny Walker, Zach Charbonnet, running express. They'll have to throw the ball. So what are the questions we got?
I agree. So Iggy is in here. He said, not a fantasy football question, but do you think 49ers, Lions, and Eagles are all but division winners?
I don't see how the Eagles can't. I don't see how Detroit can't because they're 3 games up on everybody. And truthfully, I think the 49ers are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
So barring an injury to McCaffrey, I think if McCaffrey goes down, that would change that whole dynamic. But barring an injury to McCaffrey, and I'm not calling for it, I really don't want to see it. I love Christian McCaffrey. Like his game. I like his versatility. I think they're all division winners. I think the AFC is much tougher to call.
I'm not even too worried. I feel like if McCaffrey still goes down, I think was it Mason? Mason showed enough too that he can be a guy the third backup. Even Mitchell. I mean, Mitchell's been injured, but he showed that he can still play really good, and Mason has played really good too. I think that Shanahan.
I don't think
he can rotate running backs.
Either one of those guys has the fully rounded game that McCaffrey does.
I 100% get that, but they also have Debo to fill in if that's
needed. That's true.
So it's like they can get a guy in that's reliable enough to get through, and you got Debo if you need a lot of that passing stuff, to scare a little bit. So yes, I agree there. David said, "Do you think JSN is overrated?"
Well, okay. So my problem with JSN, first of all, you need to understand, I am a Michigan fan, and JSN went to Ohio State, but I love CJ Stroud, who also went to Ohio State. So it's not the Ohio State bias. It's the fact that he missed an entire year, his last year in college, with a hamstring injury. I don't think his heart was in playing last year. He went out, he played a couple downs in a couple games, but he didn't really ever work his way back into the lineup that whole year. I'm not sure JSN has the right mentality for the game of football. I think he's a talented kid that if everything goes right, he's going to be great. But you got guys that overachieve their ability. And I think he's one that will underachieve his ability because I don't think he has the heart.
So is he like a? Would you compare him to like a Juju Smith-Schuster then? Like all the talent in the world, but
Kadarius Toney.
His focus is on football. Like maybe it is, but maybe it's not all the way there.
Kadarius Toney, very talented guy, just never seems to get it.
Yeah, I get that too. All right, Farquad in here, and then we'll keep going with then we'll get to our farce player. Farquad, what's up, man? Said JC and Gred, is Deontay Foreman worth flexing over Josh Downs or Jerick McKinnon? Thank you for your sage advice. Standard scoring. I like that.
Even with standard scoring, no. And I'll tell you why. Josh Downs, last time he played with Gordon Minshew as the quarterback, had 12 targets. Yep. Okay. I know he's not getting a point per reception, but 12 targets is going to lead to yards and potentially a touchdown. The problem with Deontay Foreman is he even going to play, or is it going to be somebody else that used to play quarterback at the University of Texas, maybe, that's going to get the carries? Concussion, he can come out of concussion protocol today and start on Sunday. So I would not flex Deontay Foreman at all.
Yeah. I don't know, but
McKinnon could be the answer because aren't they playing Denver?
Yeah, but I thought McKinnon might be the guy against Minnesota too, and I thought that he might get some of them passing options, and he didn't do anything. Yeah. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a better day than him. So with them having those three running backs, I am kind of getting a little bit more worried about McKinnon. I mean, yes, I guess Denver is a good option.
Let's think back to the Miami game.
Yeah.
2 running backs, Miami versus Denver.
But it's 3 running backs. But
they had 8 touchdowns to split between the 2. Divide that by 3, it's still a pretty good day.
I hope. Yeah, you hope. I mean, I was really hoping that if McKinnon played in Minnesota, they would just feature him a little bit more, but they definitely did not.
No, I would probably go with Josh Downs. I really would. If it's 1,
maybe. Yeah.
If it's 2, I'd do McKinnon and Downs.
Joe says, hey, guys, should I trade Chase and Pittman for Bijan and Lamb or DJ Moore for Swift?
Is it okay? First of all, is it a dynasty league or a redraft? And is it PPR or half PPR? Give us a little more information.
I don't think I'm trading DJ Moore for Swift unless you really need a running back, but I still don't trust Swift. Like I think he's my farce player this week.
Do you trust DJ Moore?
Yes.
I don't, because I don't trust his quarterback.
I don't know, man. They look like they've gotten their shit together.
Sure they do. Who is it against again? Who did Chicago have their 2 big games against?
Chicago plays against Minnesota this week. He's going to be explosive.
Okay, so he'll be fine this week. But I'm talking about if you're doing a trade, it's for the rest of the season.
Let's see. I mean, so here's the thing too. Chicago plays against 2. So I would say Minnesota. I mean, so Detroit is a good defense, but I wouldn't say that Minnesota and Green Bay are, and they play against them twice a year.
Green Bay is a better defense. Well, how many games has Chicago already played Green Bay once?
Yep, and Minnesota this week, and they get to play
and if Chicago plays Green Bay later in the year, weather's an issue. So I don't trust DeAndre Swift to stay healthy, to be perfectly frank. But I also don't trust DJ Moore's quarterback. I'm not. If you look at Chicago's 2 games where Fields actually had really good throwing days, look at the teams he was throwing against. And one of them was Washington. And I don't remember who the other one was. I do remember looking it up, and it was a terrible pass defense.
Ooh,
So I want to see them. I want to see Fields have a good passing day against a good defense before I make that trade. Now, trading Chase and Pittman for BJ and Lamb, I would not do that. Bijan has not played to the level that was expected of him, and he's splitting time with Tyler Algier, who's playing pretty well too. If you look at if it's a dynasty league, maybe, but I
it's
doubt it.
Dynasty PPR. Dynasty PPR.
If it's dynasty PPR, I'd consider it, but I don't really want CD Lamb at all. So I probably would turn it down because I like Chase and I really love Pittman. I did not think Pittman would do anything this year because of the quarterback situation. And he surprised me. He's getting 10 targets every game and he's converting them. So I would probably stick with Chase, especially now that Burrow looks like he's back.
Yeah, I feel so. I feel the same way. All right, let's see here. Let's get into some farce players, and then we'll get some more questions. All right, so farce players are players that finish in, that are ranked at this moment by week 6, top 14 players, and we think that they potentially. It's really hard to do because a lot of these players are players that they've been super good, and a lot of that top 14 now is kind of solidified itself. It's kind of like those players are kind of staying there now, but top 14 players that we think could potentially fall out of the top 14 just this week. Not overall, but this week they might finish outside the top 14.
Well, like I said last week, a certain defense made Brock Purdy look like an all-pro. 4 touchdown passes, most he's ever had. I don't know that he's ever had 3 touchdown passes before. And I think of those 4 TDs, I think 3 were touchdown passes to Kittle, and 1 was a quarterback sneak or something. It was a run, I think. So I don't expect another 4 TD game this week. So Purdy is a guy, he gets nothing with his legs. You're not getting any rushing yards from this guy. And if you look at Cleveland's a good defense. Now, I realize that San Francisco has a very good offense with a lot of talent to help him. But the weather in Cleveland, I went out and looked, mid-50s, scattered showers, and around 20-mile-per-hour winds. I do not expect a shootout in this game. And so I certainly don't expect Purdy to finish in the top 14 quarterbacks. Browns are giving up less than 12 points per game to quarterbacks. That's 3rd best. Sit the Brockster.
Yeah, man, I had him last week to sit, and he was explosive versus the Cowboys. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Brock can be hit or miss, but it might be a good week to just sit
He
him.
never hit like he did last week.
Yeah,
that wasn't fair to you, man. He never had that.
It was the Cowboys just sat back and took it. All right.
It was 3 interceptions by Dak is what caused it. Good field position.
Back to back too.
Kittle catches 3 passes on 4 targets. All of them are TDs.
That's wild.
It is. So who's your farce?
So my farce is, I mean, I got Jared Goff. And I know you said Jared Goff, you think he's going to be explosive. He's got Amon-Ra coming back. Doesn't mean Amon-Ra can't be great with Jared Goff still having a low game. Like we've seen Puka be explosive with still Stafford only putting up 14 points, right? And Puka will have, 36 points. Like just because, the players, just because Amon-Ra does good does not mean that Goff is going to be doing good. But also, so Tampa Bay has been somebody that I've been worried about when it comes to wide receivers with the throwing downfield. Like they've been shutting some of these players down the last couple of weeks. And they're just coming off of a bye. That's the thing that I'm worried about. They're playing in Tampa. Jared Goff does great at home. but I'm worried. Going down there in the heat is another thing. I mean, it's it's cooling off a little bit, but it's still hot down there, and I worry about this team going down there and playing against a dome team, going down there and playing outside against a refreshed Tampa defense, who's been very strong against the wide receivers. I am a little bit worried. I still think that with the amount of talent that's out there for wide receiver, you can still see Amon-Ra maybe get a touchdown, go for 80 yards, 8 catches. I mean, that's still explosive day, but if that's just the only score they have, right? One player benefits, Goff doesn't benefit. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, they're not going to stop Sammy Laporta either.
That's true. Laporta could be beastly. Man, he's been so good this year. It's crazy. He's the number one. He's number one tight end on the year.
Yes, overall, but if you go points per game, he gets passed by Kelsey.
That's true. But I'm still
Kelsey sat out week 1.
That's a rookie tight end. Here we go. Another rookie tight end coming out and showing that they could be that guy.
14-point win for the Lions this week. Watch. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be top 5 quarterback, but I think he'll make it into the top 14. At running back, it's killing me to do this because I've ridden him all year long. It's the other B. Robinson, not the Bijan one, the Brian one in Washington. Now, he's right at 14 in our scoring system, so I don't know where he fits in yours, but he qualified. And right now, that Washington offense, I'm just not sure what to expect from them. But anyway, the reason I love Brian Robinson, I love the kid because this guy got shot in the ass last year and came back from it. I don't mean buckshot or a BB gun. He got shot with a gun in the rear end, and he came back. And I love this kid. I really do. He's got a good attitude. He's a good person. I prefer cheering for him. But the top running backs seem to all have favorable matchups. Now, I could have gone with Devin Archan, but that's not fair because he's not going to play.
He's on IR. He went to IR.
Right. So it's not fair, but he's still in the top 14. And he will be probably for 2 more weeks. But I'm not going to do that because that cheapens the segment. You have a good segment here. I'm going to do it. And that's why I went with Brian Robinson. He's playing in Atlanta against the defense that gives up the 3rd fewest fantasy points to running backs. Now, it's not because Atlanta's defense is super studly. It's because their game plan eats clock, so you get less opportunities. Atlanta is very good at chewing up clock. They're only giving up 11 points per game to running backs, and that's not to a running back. That's to all the running backs in the backfield that week, 11 points per game. And with a team that eats clock the way they do, I just think the Commanders' defense is so porous that Washington's going to be playing from behind. And if they're playing from behind, Robinson's just going to be a farce this week.
Yeah, man. Brian Robinson, I love him a lot. I think that he was somebody that, in this offense, if you had somebody like that you drafted somewhat late, he was somebody that I would have been like trying to trade, to get that, value. We got David in here asking a question about Puka, and he's not, you got him late, but he's not somebody I really want to, trade away. Like we especially in Dynasty, but Brian Robinson, I feel like maybe that offense right there, that offense isn't going to be explosive enough to keep him. You should, a great time to trade somebody like that where you're like, all right, is this offense going to be an offense that's going to, be pushing enough, wait for that big game. And he had 2 great games. You can get great value from a player like that. Yeah, he's been really good, and I agree. This is a week maybe to sit him out. So my player that I talked about earlier is Swift, DeAndre Swift, somebody that took moving from Detroit to the Eagles to finally explode. He looked terrible in week 1, but ever since then, he's been absolutely dominant. He's number 9 on the year right now, but they are going up against the Jets. The Jets has only allowed 1 one explosive game, and it's crazy because it was against my guy, McLaughlin, the beast. But yeah, 208.
I was gonna go with Swift till I saw your list.
He's great. But man, the Jets have been stopping the run. I mean, they did play against Kansas City, but Kansas City has 3 running backs, right? Kansas City put up 81 rush yards against them. New England, Stevenson was somebody that we drafted to be a top player, at least RB2, 37 yards against them. Dallas, Tony Pollard, right? Somebody that we were drafting to be a number, an RB1, 24 yards against them. Buffalo has a rushing, quarterback, right? So that you're going to get those rush yards too from your quarterback and your running back. And James Cook has been good, 166 yards. So I think this is a week where he can get stopped, right? I mean, Jalen Hurts might be the guy who benefits from the running game, but Swift this week, man, I don't think he's going to be getting these big holes. I think that the Jets can shut them down a little bit there on the running game, and Hurts, they're going to have to threaten Hurts to throw the ball, right? Hurts
I think he's also due for his annual injury. Because he's got a lot of carries. He's got a lot of carries for DeAndre Swift.
I do like that too. Yeah, Swift, man. If you have him right now, try to see if you can push him. So maybe this is a week where you can kind of trade him away. The value is so high, man. At number 9, you did not draft him to be there. You can get so much value right now. If you can, somebody out there.
If you can get Puka for Swift, I'd do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a lot of value right now. You could probably get more than that. I mean, people might be still a little worried, maybe last week was just really easy, but yeah. All right, let's move on to wide receivers.
I hate this one because I like this guy. I'm going with Philadelphia. They're traveling to Jersey to face the Jets. Second stingiest defense on wide receiver points, 18 per game. And again, that's not 18 points to the top receiver. That's 18 points to 4 or 5 receivers that play in that game. It's tough because AJ has been unstoppable. He's had 3 straight games over 100 yards, but he's only scored in 1 game. He got 2 touchdowns in that game, but that was against the Commanders. And we all saw how those DBs acted like they didn't even want to play in that game. So I'm sitting AJ this week because I think that if anybody's likely to fall out of the top 14, he may still be startable as a wide receiver 2 or 3 or a flex. But I think Devontae Smith might be the guy that steps up big in this game, or Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a really good sit this week. So I have 2 guys this week that I kind of am thinking about sitting. I mean, they're not really, I wouldn't even know if it's really a sit, but I don't think that they'll finish in the top 14. Marquise Brown is my first player. The Rams have been doing pretty decent against the wide receivers this year, but I mean, he's only finished inside the top 14 1 time this year. Wide receiver 48 week 1, wide receiver 22, wide receiver 20, wide receiver 17, and wide receiver 14.
And yet he's in the top 14 for the year.
It's crazy. I don't even know. I think it's just because of points, dude.
Consistency.
Yeah. But I think he just falls outside. I don't think it's like I think this was hard. Receivers to me are really hard in doing this. My other one is Nico Collins, just because.
Oh man, you're killing me.
I know it's I don't love it. But where was the stats I was looking for last week against? I mean, he's gonna be playing against the Saints this week with Dell being out. Yes, he might get a little bit more targets, but I think he's gonna get a lot more. Like, he's gonna be the guy that they're focusing on stopping. I think that Schultz might be the guy who benefits this week a little bit. Is Woods back too? Robert Woods, is he back? I mean, that could be a player that benefits too. I think Nico is kind of the guy. I mean, I don't want to sit Nico because he's been so good, but last week he kind of got shut down, and I don't know. The only thing that makes me worry about it is he's been so good at home. Like, he's been so good at home. That's the only thing that worries me about this pick, is his home games have been really good.
And Stroud's been very good this year.
He's been so good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Coach said Robert Woods never left.
Yeah. So at tight end,
Bobby Twiggs lately.
I kind of hate saying this because it may sound callous, being that this is a mental health awareness type time of year. But if anybody's ever played like a schizophrenic, it's George Kittle. Okay. I'm sitting George Kittle. He's got a tough matchup. He's coming off a 3 TD performance where every pass he caught was a TD. But dude, I mean, if you look at his performances, his game logs this week, he's got 3 games where he didn't even finish in the top 25. Okay. He's got 2 games where he finished number 1 and number 3. So you just don't know what you're getting with Kittle. And with a tough matchup, Cleveland's only given up 6 points per game to tight ends. I'd find somebody else.
Yeah, I think that Kittle, he's been a really big blocker as of late too. Like, and you will see that too with Kittle. Kittle will be that guy who'll catch, like you said, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. Like, he'll get that, and then he'll be blocking the rest of the time. Or you'll get a game where he'll get 1 or 2 big catches, and he's blocking for Debo, blocking for McCaffrey. That's his job. I mean, he's like Kelsey, but I think he's almost even better blocker than Kelsey. He's got to be probably one of the top blockers in the NFL, but he's very good, very explosive after the catch. He's very strong after the catch. He can make people miss by pushing them down. Kittle is that guy, but you're right. He can be, he's very, hit or miss.
Schizophrenic.
Yep, he definitely, yeah.
Well, his play is anyway.
Kittle only has 3 multi-TD games in his career. That's not very many.
And one of them was last week. So don't expect a follow-up.
All right, so I think mine's a little bit, it's Hunter Henry. that offense has been so bad. They look so bad. Henry, he's also been somebody who's been up down. The first 2 weeks he had explosive weeks, but last week no target, like nothing. He did absolutely nothing. This team
he played against me last week. He had 0 points.
Yeah, I bet you were happy. And
I was.
They were betting on this guy after week 1. They're like, shit, dude, 16 points. Week 2, 17 points. Oh my God. Week 3, 3 points. Week 4, 9 points. Okay, we're back. We're big. Okay, week 5, no points. No points. Okay, that's not somebody that can be. He's number 10 tight end on the year. I am not touching that, dude. I am not touching that. I guess they play against the Raiders, but
yeah, I'd go with Logan Thomas, up and coming.
Yeah, personally. I would rather have that. Yep. There's a lot of players. Like I said, Schultz is probably out there. I'd rather have him this week. Yeah. I'm not. No way. I'm so disgusted.
Mike Meyer actually got a couple catches last week.
Dude, Mayer, yes, he did get some catches. And I was excited about that because in one league I had him and Likely as my tight ends, and I ended up making a trade for Ferguson. But it's like, oh no,
that's a good trade. Ferguson's playing well.
Yeah, moved me up into first place, so I'm excited.
Is there anything from the audience?
Yeah, we got some stuff here. I want to get into some of these real quick. SoCal says, what do you guys think about Amari Cooper this week? Who do you guys rank behind him that you would play?
Well, I'm playing him this week. Bye weeks really throw a crimp into things, but I just traded Justin Jefferson to get Amari Cooper and David Montgomery. So Montgomery's definitely starting. I couldn't play Cooper last week because he was on bye. So I'm getting my first return on that. But I'm also playing Nico Collins in that league, and that's the guy that JC just told me I should sit.
I'm not saying sit him. Like I said, he might finish outside the top 14.
That's okay.
The only thing I'm worried about is, who he's going to be playing against, like on defense. The Saints have been really shutting them down. These receivers, again, like the Saints and Tampa are two teams. It's just like, I worry a little bit about.
Is Watson back? That's what I worry about. Is Deshaun Watson back?
Yeah. No, he's not playing. He's out. I'm pretty sure
he's out, and that's going to hurt me.
Yeah, I think Deshaun is out this week again.
If he's out, then I'll probably pull him out of my lineup.
My buddy said Deshaun needs a massage. It's so bad.
Boy, you really want to get that boy in trouble, don't you?
David said, trade question. Would you trade JSN for Puka? I would say yes.
In a heartbeat. I
Yeah.
don't trust JSN's heart. You know, his physical skills, yeah, kid's talented, but I'm not sure he's got the right heart or attitude for the game.
Let's see here. Yeah, coach said linebacker's good in coverage too. Thanks for backing me up on that one. Yes. Oh, I said something right tonight. All right, so that's our Force and Farce players tonight. That was a blast. So I want to talk about pizza parlays a little bit before we get into some. I want to do. We can just set a really quick lineup for DraftKings. You can just kind of help me pick some players. Dang it, I should have.
You're gonna hate my pizza.
Oh, so let me talk about pizza parlays. Then you can kind of get into talking about your pizza. So pizza parlays. This is something that Iggy and I kind of came up with. SoCal jumped in on it. This is our guy Colt back when Colt was with us. He's a chef, so it was kind of fun to incorporate food and football. And what's better than pizza and football, right? Pizza is the best. So what we would like to do is we talk about parlay. So parlay is like, when you put more than one thing together in a bet, right? For that to make that bet, either better, you're going to get more money off of that bet but you have to hit both of them, right? Well, we like to do 3, right? So this one is basically you pick 3 NFL teams this week that you think will win outright. So basically against the money line. And then after that, you put 3 toppings on your pizza. So you can get whatever sauce for free. You can get your crust, whatever kind of crust you want, whatever kind of sauce you want, whatever kind of cheese you want. That's all free. That comes on your pizza for free. After that, 3 toppings. Build your pizza parlay. That's it. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully, I'm going to try to get this going maybe after week 7, we actually start taking, track. And by the end of the year, let's just say by playoff time, whoever's in the lead by playoff time, we'll send you a pizza on us. That's what we're going to do. It's fun. It's fun.
Just so you know, I wouldn't eat my pizza.
Why?
Because I chose my toppings based on the teams I chose to win. I went to those teams and I said, what is this town famous for in terms of food?
I like that.
So
if you chose Philly, it'd be like steak, right?
Cheesesteak, probably, yeah. But I chose KC. So KC is famous for barbecue. Barbecue, you got to have something to barbecue. So my first topping is brisket.
I like that. Brisket on pizza is actually very, very, very good.
Yeah, but you haven't got my second and third topping.
Yeah, it's gonna be what else you put on this.
Okay, so my second team is in a Bay Area. It's the San Francisco 49ers. And San Francisco is famous for Dungeness crab. So now you've got brisket and crab. So it's a surf and turf pizza. That's still okay. It's not terrible, but it's not normal. But the next one is why I wouldn't eat it, because I don't eat this anyway. My third team is the Dolphins. And I went and all I could find that Miami is famous for is Cuban food. And Cubans put avocado on everything.
Oh my
so goodness. Avocado is my third topping.
This pizza's wild. Brisket. So crab legs and
crab legs, crab meat.
Oh, just crab meat.
Crab meat, and it's got to be Dungeness crab. Pick it out, put it on, and avocado. Now, if I could have gotten something with meat or cheese or something from Miami, then I would have eaten it, because I'll eat the brisket and the crab on a pizza. That wouldn't bother me at all. But I don't do avocado on anything.
It's so good. You don't like avocado?
I do not.
Oh, it's good stuff. It's good.
Your turn, buddy.
Coach said Miami, big time Cuban food.
It is. Yeah, that's all I found. And when I went and looked at what the Cuban foods were, because I didn't know them by their names, I got lists of ingredients, and every one of them had avocado on it.
Oh, I love avocado, man. Fresh avocado on a sandwich or
Give
like
me mango. I like mangoes.
mango is good too. Like mango salsa. Actually, we have this place out here called Chips, and it's like, and it's crazy. It's a fish place, but these Mexicans run it, and oh my god, they make the best fish tacos you get. It's all fresh fish that's caught here in Minnesota, and they'll batter it up, and they make this amazing mango salsa. Oh my god, it's called Chips. It's so good. It's an Irish place.
Well, if
It's
I get
literally a
out there,
fish
you
and
can
chips
treat
place.
me.
Oh, it's good, man. They only have two of them out here, and it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. So anybody else that's out there, you can play along with our game. Like I said, we want to kind of get this rolling, so like people can kind of get used to Wednesdays us doing our pizza parlays, and we can kind of get them going throughout the week as long as it's before any games start. But obviously games start tomorrow. Um,
Yeah, but what about yours?
so my pizza parlay, I'm going 49ers, which you already have. I think it's an easy matchup.
Yeah,
Chiefs, another easy
easy
matchup. And
matchup.
then my underdog, like I talked about earlier, Chargers, man. Chargers are going to upset Dallas.
I'm surprised you didn't go with Tampa Bay because you're going with the points.
They can. That doesn't matter. They can go either way. It can
Yeah,
still go either way. Teams could still win. It could be 9-6. It could be.
Detroit's going to surprise you, buddy.
I hope so. I mean, I think Tampa. It's a tough environment.
We'll see.
So for pizza, what do I want to eat tonight? Last week, I think I had Philly cheesesteak pizza. Let's see. What do I want to put
With
on?
green peppers?
Yeah, green pepper. So whenever I make a Philly cheesesteak pizza, I use so for the sauce, I'll use like an Alfredo type white sauce, something like that. And then I'll just use. It would be nice to put like like the Swiss or the spray cheese on there. That might be interesting.
That's
But
nasty, man.
that's heartburn in a can, baby. But yeah, I think so you got to get the thinly sliced, the steak on there, and then some nice mozzarella cheese. I always got to get the mozzarella cheese base, and then peppers, green peppers, and onions, and they got to be sautéed. So that's what I would do for that. But tonight, one of my favorite pizzas that I really, really enjoy. Not a lot of people might like this because of the type of cheese that's put on it. So I'm going with jalapeno popper pizza. Have you ever had that before?
I don't eat jalapenos. I don't do spicy.
Oh, you what?
My
You're married?
wife is Hispanic. She does spicy.
I
I
was
lived
gonna
in
say.
Thailand for 16 months. Every time I went into the restaurant, they would look at me and say, "No spice?" And I would say, "No spice."
Extra spice for this guy. I like that heartburn. I don't even get it anymore because I eat a lot of spicy food.
I don't like snot running out of my nose.
I'm
So
gonna tell
I
you right
don't
now,
eat really hot food.
I'm going to get sushi this weekend, and I always in Japanese I say taksan wasabi.
Wasabi?
Taksan means extra, a lot. I like it. I want it to shoot out of my nose. I want that
Oh,
feeling.
man.
It's so good too. And if you get good wasabi, it tastes so good too. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, jalapenos. You put jalapenos on the pizza. You put bacon on the pizza or chicken. It depends on what you like. Because I've had it with chicken, and then dollops of cream cheese. It's amazing.
You are a sick man.
It's so good.
Truly sick man.
It's so good. It's so good. Let's see. Yeah, Greg lived in Asia and doesn't eat spicy food.
No, and I'm married to a Hispanic woman, and I don't eat spicy food.
All right,
For 46 years, married to a Hispanic woman.
Ronnie. Richard, we'll get to your question here in a minute. I'm just writing down some of these parlays. If anybody wants to get any of their parlays in, like I said, just name 3 teams that you think are going to win this week. You don't have to put your pizza in there, but it's just for fun. I want to see what everyone's if they were to have a pizza in front of them tonight, what would you be eating on?
And so you're doing it with the points too, though, right?
So it's just there's no spread. It's not spread. It's just money line. So whatever, it's just against the money line. So whatever team wins. So like.
Oh, okay. So money line, that means nothing to me.
Yeah, it just means whoever wins.
Straight up. Okay.
Straight up. Yep.
Well, I feel better about my picks now
Yeah. Last week we built a parlay. I wish I would have played it. No, I really didn't because I think I picked Packers. That sucks, man. They looked so bad. I'm sorry, Iggy, but they looked really bad against the Raiders. It hurts. That Aaron Jones is definitely that offense.
No,
He
but
looked
as a Detroit fan, it was so good to wake up in the morning and see. I watched the first half. It was a decent game in the first half. And then my wife and I turned on the TV channel to something that she would enjoy. And it's good to see Detroit 2
ooh.
games up in the division, 2.5.
I like seeing it too, man, because Detroit has just been, they've been in shambles for years, and it's really nice to see
Hey,
a team.
now.
There's nothing, dude. My team's always in shambles. Like
Okay.
we've lost Super Bowl twice. We got nothing to show for it. Like we got nothing.
You've lost what twice?
Super Bowl.
What's that? Detroit's never been to
I'm
one.
gonna tell you right now, I would rather not have been than to go and just like be the first loser. Like
Hey, you're not the Bills.
Works. That hurts.
4 years in a row for the Bills.
That's tough too. So Ronnie's in here. I liked his pizza too. He said you might not like it because chorizo's on it. And chorizo can be spicy.
You can get chorizo that's not spicy.
Really?
Barbacoa too. I like barbacoa.
I like barbacoa too. He said so. He's got Bills, Eagles, Lions this week, and he said sun-dried tomatoes, which is they're amazing. Chorizo and blended chili peppers. So you definitely wouldn't like that.
No, not the chili. There's 2 words in that I don't like: chili and
Josh?
peppers.
Iggy's in here. Iggy says Philly, Miami, Buffalo. He said pepperoni, sausage, bell peppers. What do you think about that?
I like the first 2. I don't like the last one.
So you don't like even bell peppers? Bell peppers aren't spicy.
I'm not a veggie type guy. You've seen me. You've seen my body.
So funny.
I like corn on the cob, but that's not really a vegetable.
It's so funny, dude. Okay, so he said Aiden Hutchinson is going to turn Baker Mayfield into pepperoni.
I was thinking more of a sausage, to be honest, but okay.
That's so good. Joshua says Vegas, Miami, San Fran. We're going to build this.
I think the kid in the middle being back helps too. Detroit's played extremely well in the middle.
Josh says smoked chicken, bacon, and barbecue sauce. That sounds really good.
That sounds like something I would eat, Josh.
There we go. There we go. So, he said yes. They have. Coach says yes. They have medium chorizo. It's your kind.
Hey,
so Kel says, let's see. Go ahead.
First time I ate at my in-laws. My mother knew I was coming over, so she made 2 sets of enchiladas, one for the Americans and one for the Mexicans. And they served me, and it was so spicy that I knew that I had gotten one off the Mexican plate. So I went and got seconds because it was really good tasting. I went and got seconds from the Mexican pan. I was so wrong. I was so wrong. Oh, man.
Ranch, buffalo chicken, and onions and jalapenos. That's what SoCal 7. Chargers, Chiefs, and Ravens is who he is parlaying it with. All right, let's get into building this parlay. Oh, we had a question in here. I think I saw one. Let me see. Yeah, Richard in here. Sorry, Richard. Richard says full PPR can only keep 3 RBs. I need to drop one now that Taylor is back. Who do I drop? James Cook? No. Montgomery? No. Swift? No. What? Can you trade?
You can only keep 3, and you've got those. You don't drop any of them. If you're going to drop one, it's going to be James Cook. But what you want to do is try to trade him, get a wide receiver, get a wide receiver upgrade. You don't drop any of those guys.
So he said that are there receivers or a tight end or a defense or a kicker on your team that you can just drop, before like if you have a kicker or a defense that you can just drop? He's basically saying that he can't make the trade until JT is pulled off IR, which makes sense because in some leagues, like if your team is already too big.
If you got to drop somebody, I would drop Cook, but I might even drop DeAndre Swift because I truly believe that within the next 3 weeks, he's going to get hurt because that's just his MO.
The value, though, like I'm saying, if you can, if you're still in here, Richard, or if you're not in here, I guess you wouldn't hear me, but reach out to one of us, at the Sports Affiliation or JC Money Design, or you could reach out to Greg as well, Greg Kellogg.
At
This
Gregory
is
L. Kellogg.
There you go. It'll pull up once I pull this down. So just hit one of us up. But if you can drop a defense or a kicker, or if you have a tight end that you are
Or a
streaming,
backup quarterback.
well, the thing is too, yeah, what you're doing is you can make that trade before Sunday. You can find players on Sunday or money that you can go back out and pick up, or even now, if you can make that, if you drop someone now, that person will be available by Sunday, right? You can pick that person potentially back up, right? But find somebody else. I think those running backs. So running backs are hard to come by. Receivers you can kind of find, but I feel like running backs you can trade Swift with his value right now. I'm not going to try to dump any of those players. Like it's
right.
too. Or yeah, Coach Craig said you can find him too. Yeah. So, all right, let's build this parlay. Let's build this lineup quick, and we can kind of get out of here. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I always love being on and talk about your show tomorrow. We can talk about your show while we got this. So the show tomorrow, Thursday night, Thursday check down. Talk a little about the show tomorrow, Greg.
Sure. Tim McGill's coming on from the Fantasy Football Formula. He uses historic data to help your teams win. So check us out. We'll have Tip on. Iggy, I believe, is the TSA representative, with JC operating in the shadows. Yeah, we have fun. Starts at 7:00 Eastern time, runs for an hour.
Such a blast. And then after that,
and next week we have a Hall of Famer coming on, Mr. Scott Engel. Will be our guest next
Scott
week.
Engel, dude, one of the best karaoke singers of all time. I'll tell you that. Definitely up there.
Does he have a voice?
He does. He does it really well, man. I was surprised how well he did it. And the best thing about karaoke too is not just singing, it's performance. And he is a performer. Ronnie will tell you he's definitely a performer.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah.
I'll go to that next year. This year I was just so beat up I couldn't get around in the evenings.
That's why I liked staying in that hotel if you get an opportunity, just because there's so many people, even though their events are so everywhere else, but it's just like there's so many people that just meet there, and it's like nice. Like I was beat too, man. I was so beat.
DFS depends on salary cap, right?
It does. So we only have 50,000 in this one, and Coach says in here Minshew mania. So if anybody else wants to join in and just make suggestions,
I like Minshew, but I think I'd go with Matt Stafford because of the matchup.
Let's just look, because let's see, Stafford's at 6,100, so you can go all the way down here. Minshew's at 5, so it's more of
you save 1,100, but is it worth it?
Can you stack? Is it worth to do this? Is what I'm saying. So Minshew, and you can get Downs. You know what I'm saying? Get that stat.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if Minshew has a bad day and Downs has a bad day, that stack kills you.
It does. It does. You're right.
So, I think Stafford's going to have a good day, but you're not going to go out and get Puka, or you're not going to go out and get Cup with Stafford because it's going to be too expensive.
What about Higbee?
Potentially, but is Higbee the guy you want?
No, I mean, for the price, no. I'd rather have Logan Thomas, way down there.
I like Logan Thomas.
I mean, we can start with that right now. I'm fine with that. 3,500 is cheap for tight end.
Okay.
And if anybody doesn't know,
he's up and coming.
So some of the lingo we talk about too. So I could talk about, trading or, looking for value. All right. So if I'm buying down, our average player price right now, say, is like 5,800. We paid down. I think the average price is about 5,000 or 5,500, something like that.
How much is Isaiah Pacheco costing?
I like that play too this week. Let's see. We'll go to running backs. We can go look at Pacheco. He's going to be down here, man. Like, he's always been down here. Or what day do they play?
I don't know.
Is that a Sunday? Is that a Sunday?
Oh, that may be a Thursday night game. Does that matter?
Yeah. No, yeah, it does matter. So this is just Sunday. It's just Sunday games. And not the night game. So it's like the day games. It's the day games, not the night games. No,
okay,
no.
What about Raheem Mostert?
Mostert's going to be expensive, 6,400. They do play against Carolina.
Yeah, but he's going to get all the touches right now.
Who's the other
So
guy that did that? So they brought Wilson's back, and then they have that other guy.
Wilson's not back yet. He's been put to where he can work out, but he is not on an active roster yet.
Who's the other? There's another A running back there. A something.
Oh, Sylvan Ahmed.
Yeah, he actually had a decent week too. It's like only 7.
Yeah, but you're taking a chance there.
See, Ahmed is who it was. Yeah,
Yeah, it's actually pronounced
Ahmed.
Ahmed, like
Right.
there's a C in front of it. Um, I'm trying to think of who do we expect to have who's playing Denver? Kansas City, right?
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that tomorrow's game though?
Oh yeah, you can't do that. Um, who else has been tough against? Been good to run against?
So I don't mind. So let's see here. If we go down a little bit, just like looking, I just wanted to look and see who's down here that we could potentially. Damn, my nose is
I
always
had
itchy.
Josh Downs as my wide receiver to recommend. So if you want to go Minshew and Downs, I'm okay with that. But I think if you go Stafford and Downs, you're hedging your bets against, a total collapse.
So the only thing I think about this too is like, yeah, let's see, where is he at? I just think that we could pay up for other players, that
Yeah.
could potentially make that, you're saving 1,000 there and a ton of money on Downs, even though we'd be playing Downs. Okay, you're right.
Okay.
Inshu, if we go look at his game log,
How
he
much
hasn't
is
really
Adam
put up any
Thielen?
numbers. Thielen's going to be up there because he's been a top.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he'll be up there. Minshew, I do agree. He might not put up a lot of points, so that might not even help you with paying down that much.
I think he's played better than AR-15.
He has, well, with Richardson, it's like he's just been scoring the rushing touchdowns.
I shouldn't use that because Richardson does not like the reference to AR-15 because of the gun connotation.
I don't.
But he's been throwing extremely well, and quarterbacks are known as gunslingers, so AR-15 is appropriate.
It's definitely appropriate. Yeah, I
Um,
mean, you want to do this? You want to do this? We can go with Ritter. I'm down with that. He's my FARCE player. 5,000. You're paying down. You're
okay.
playing against Washington. If you want to
And
get a stack,
Washington's. So, are you going to go with Drake London or with Kyle Pitts?
well, we can flex Pitts. We can go Logan Thomas and we could flex Pitts if you want to. Because Pitts probably won't cost a lot.
Is it tight end premium?
No, there's no tight end premium. But
Then
like
I
I
would
said,
not
Logan,
flex a tight end. There's
they
just too many
so
good receivers.
it's to me, it's the fact that you can find like I said, 3,500. Watch this. Look at our player value now, right?
I
Our
can't see it.
So you see right here,
I see it on the screen. I just can't read it because the print's too small for my.
6,300 now we have per player, and then if we grab a defense, it's going to go even higher, regardless of where we're at. Because if we're at like 4,000 is the highest. If we wanted to grab
I just
49ers,
went full screen so I can see it. Are we getting a defense too?
yeah, decent defense, and you already pay down for a defense because the highest is at 4,000, so you're already paying down.
Okay, and what defense do we want?
So we got here some suggestions. Texans D. We got Eagles D at 3,800. They play against the Cowboys. Buccaneers against your Lions. Let's see what Texans D. Texans are also way down here.
Who's
They play
playing
against,
Carolina? Isn't it Atlanta?
who's playing quarterback for New Orleans this week? Because
Well,
Texans.
I think it's Carr. He played last week.
So against Pittsburgh and Jacksonville, they put up 12, 13 points. Baltimore, I mean,
Who's playing against Carolina?
the Panthers this week, Miami is.
I might go Miami because Miami will get a lead on Carolina, and Carolina is going to have to throw. And the one thing we know about Carolina is it's tough for a 5'10" quarterback to throw.
That's true. I mean, we can go Miami. If you want to go Miami, we can definitely do that.
I think that's a good play. I don't know, but I would think it is.
Let's see if anybody said anything. Oh, So Ronnie said, those are my notes using AI as a guide. I mean, they're good notes. So he said Tyler Conklin versus the Vikings, which would be a good pick. Cole Kmet versus the Vikings. What? Hold on.
I don't trust Kmet to have a third week in a row, to be honest, even against the Vikings.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Cole Kmet, I mean, he's been explosive, but they can shut him down.
So how much do we have per player available to
So
us?
right now we're almost at 7,000. I mean, we have a lot of money to play with now.
Okay, so put
Wide receiver,
Pacheco in.
running back. You can't put Pacheco in
Why?
because he plays
Oh,
tomorrow.
Thursday night. Who's Jacksonville play?
You want to play Montgomery? You can play David Montgomery.
I might actually.
I mean, for the price, you're still paying up a little bit, but I mean, you have money.
Who is Jacksonville playing?
Indy.
How are they against the run?
Let me look.
Because I like ETN.
I like ETN too, man. It's crazy because I was very off of ETN last year just based on how bad he looked the year before.
Yeah.
But he's been really good. Man. He's really come around. I thought Bigsby, I mean, maybe that's the reason, like having somebody in there that,
Yeah, who's Chicago playing too?
Defense first, running backs. Let me get all right, here we go. Dang it. I'm trying to pull up my all right. What was the question?
First, who's ETN playing against? Jacksonville.
Yeah,
Indiana.
they play against Indy. Let me see where they're at versus running backs. I do have a good thing up now.
Okay.
I think they might be
Fantasy Pros usually has a good fantasy points allowed to position guide.
So fantasy points per game they're giving up on average is about 16 to the running back.
Where's that rank?
18th against the running back.
So it's middle. It's in the middle. So it's not a great matchup. How's Houston doing against running backs?
I think they're doing a lot better. Way down there too. 29th. They're giving
up.
Okay,
so put in Kamara.
Oh,
Alvin Kamara. Because he's getting a lot of touches.
Oh, yeah. Again, Bears play against the Vikings, so he's saying I mean receivers
I guess could put in Madison.
I mean, for me at this point, it would almost be it for wide receiver. We pay down one more for wide receiver. I mean, I like Addison, but what about KJ Osborne?
Well, what about DJ Moore? What about DJ Moore against the Vikings?
Yeah, I like that. So we have 7,000 per player right now.
All right, and you put Kamara in already. So what do we need? We need 2 wide receivers and a running back.
So we can pay way up. I mean, if you want to put in like let's see, like you can put in a Puka, you can put in a Cup.
The problem is you don't know which. How is Seattle's got a good defense, but how are they against receivers?
Last week they got torched.
Well,
I mean,
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jamar Chase. I think that's a good call this week.
Yeah,
they play against it's against Seattle, and I think it's still a good call.
That's why I asked how is Seattle against receivers.
I think that it's a great call this week. I mean, he's just coming off his massive game, but even if he does half of what he did last week, it's going to be explosive.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said,
if Burrows is back, he's a great play. If Burrows just had a big game against a lousy defense, then he's not a great play. But Jamar Chase is
Seattle struggling versus wide receivers lately, no pass rush.
Okay. That if there's no pass rush, Burrows doesn't have to move, and that means he's good. So we need a running back and a wide receiver. And how much
he said Mostert. He said Kamara and Mostert this week.
Yeah, but is Mostert on the yeah.
So we can Mostert. So here's the players we can play with right now. So we can go Higgins, which we won't be playing. Michael Pittman, if you want to go with
Brendan
receiver.
Ayuk.
Ayuk is another player we can play.
Who's San Francisco playing?
Thielen is there too, but you have Miami's defense, so I'm not playing that against. So San Francisco's going against Cleveland. So Debo and Ayuk are probably good plays.
No, Cleveland's pretty strong.
I mean, I still like Nico. I'm not against playing him. I just said I don't think he'll finish top 14. I'm not saying he can still finish 15. Like,
yeah.
it's still rough. I mean,
But there's got to be somebody better than Nico.
There's plenty of players here. I mean,
well, who's Jacksonville playing?
Jaguars. Let's see. Who did we say that they're playing?
They playing Indy?
Let's see. I thought, yeah, Indy. Yep.
Well, you could go Ridley or Kirk.
Well, then, let's see. I mean, you can go anywhere here, right, with Ridley or Kirk. I mean,
yeah.
I'm fine
now
with
you
that.
know me. I like Christian Kirk, but Ridley is probably getting more looks in the red zone and the deep looks. So
But
he's probably got the higher ceiling.
Higher ceiling, but probably lower. Like consistency is probably
Yeah.
Kirk, right? I mean, I don't really care. We have the money
Oh,
to
put
go
in
either way.
Addison. You liked Addison. Go ahead, put Addison in.
He's questionable too. Let's see.
But
Ankle injury.
Chicago.
I don't know. Yeah.
That way you've got a receiver on both sides in that game. You got DJ and you got Addison.
Coach
Does
says
the money
he likes
work?
Ridley.
Does the money
Ridley.
work for you?
The money works, but Coach said he likes Ridley too this week.
Okay, I like Ridley too, but I like Ayuk a lot too. But I think, remember, I picked Purdy to be my bust, so my farce.
It's so I like Addison. It's just sometimes it's so hard to trust Minnesota, man.
Is this going to be a point per reception type scoring?
This is PPR. Yeah, this is PPR.
Okay, then do Thielen, because they're going to be playing from behind, and he's going to get 12 targets.
So you think that, and you still want to start Dolphins defense? We right now we can pay up right now. We can play any defense.
Yeah, we
can play any defense.
Okay, but starting the Dolphins defense and Thielen doesn't really destroy you, does it?
If he gets touchdowns, it does.
Yeah.
If you're counting on Thielen to potential, or if you're just counting on him to get catches, then no.
Well, who's Washington playing?
Atlanta. We got Ritter in, so we're not doing that.
No, I was saying play the Atlanta defense. We can.
I'm down with that.
I don't know what
they have not been doing well, and they have not been doing.
Don't play them. All right. Can you sort it by how they've been doing, or by projected points?
Let's see here. I don't know if you can. Fantasy points per game. So Seahawks are on top. Like I said, Buccaneers are good.
Now you can play them, but I'm telling you, Detroit's going to smoke them.
I'm not doing it if you feel that way.
Yeah.
Saints versus Houston. I think that could be good.
Hey, you said Deshaun Watson's out, right?
Yeah.
All right. Start San Francisco's defense. They're a good defense, and they're playing against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And you saw how he looked.
There we go. All right. So here's our team: Desmond Ritter, Alvin Kamara, Raheem Mostert, DJ Moore, Jamar Chase, Adam Thielen, Logan Thomas, Kyle Pitts for our Ritter-Pitts combo, and 49ers at defense.
How much extra money do we have?
$100, and it's good. I don't mind.
Okay.
You don't always have
I was going to say, let's put Kelsey in.
I think we're good. I think the team's good. I mean, we wouldn't be. Yeah, this team's good. I think this is going to be a solid team. We'll see where we end up at the week. I might put this in a Millie Makers just to see where we finish too. But
okay,
yeah, let's hit.
But
submit.
I don't gamble, so this is your team.
That's all right. It's it's the sports affiliations team.
That'll work.
There we go.
Yes, I am a coward.
appreciate everyone coming in tonight. It's been a blast. Wednesdays are a lot of fun. Getting over that hump. You got to get
Go
the
blue.
Michigan gang signs in there, and yeah, it's just gonna be another fun week. Week 6, man. We'll see what
5-0,
happens.
moving to 6, baby.
Let's go, baby. All right, everyone. Peace out. See you tomorrow. Make sure you catch the shows tomorrow. A lot of shows coming out. Peace.
Thanks for having me.
Later. I love you.